Okay, so here's how we'll start today. Sort of a rough agenda. So we're going to spend a little bit of time jumping back into the Native 360 Learning website. John's going to take us through a little bit of that. We're going to sort of spend a little bit of time on the Canvas model, introducing that tool set to you. Then we'll jump into the value proposition and touch on some marketing today. Tomorrow, John's going to talk more about social media, the impact on this digital world, on how it impacts your business. So if you don't have people knocking on your door, how do you reach out to folks? How are things really changing in the world? Okay, so I'm going to turn this over to John, and John's going to walk us through the 360 website. Is one of the things we'd hope to have a chance to look at, and then we'll look at some business canvas model work here. So John, I'll turn this over to you.
Okay. Hey, Kyle, go ahead and stop your screen sharing. Go back to your regular view. It won't let both of us do it at the same time.
Okay, gotcha.
And John, I'm going to make you a co-host right now so that you can.
Okay. So let's go ahead. The Initiate website that everybody gets 30 days of free access to, it's really neat stuff. And I think we had 3 or 4 people go ahead and sign up yesterday. We want to go ahead and get everybody logged in so that you've got access to it. And then the plan is that after the seminar, we'll send out some follow-up stuff. And for people in the Great Plains, if you want to continue using it, you can go ahead and request access to it. But let's get everybody signed up right now. So you're going to need to go to native360.initiateprosperity.org. It's up here in the left side. And if you've already done this, then congratulations, you're ahead of the game. So native360.initiateprosperity.org. And then once you're there, hit create a new account. And we'll go ahead and have everybody fill out the form below, the form that you see on the screen. Now, when you get down to, go ahead and start doing that. When you get down to meeting access code, there's a special code that we want you to type in. And it's N360-0809. For password, you can create whatever password you want. I think it wants lowercase and capital letters and a number, a specialty character in it. It's not super picky. And then also make sure right here to let us know which organization referred you to the site. And while you're doing that, I'm going to jump over to another screen here. Is anybody having any trouble or have any questions?
So John, do you get bumped off if you, so you have to create a second view here? You get bumped off the Zoom? How does that work here?
Yeah, I'm just switching to a different screen here for a second.
Okay. So for folks that are trying to log in, they just create a second
Yep.
Second view. Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to pull up on my screen some of the neat stuff that's up there. What I like about the Initiate Prosperity stuff is that it comes from experts, not people trying to sell you things. So just to kind of give you a feel for what's in there, here's a video on small business financial ratios. These are things your banker or your SBA person is going to expect you to understand. Tips for leveraging technology during COVID-19. Another neat thing is that this content is updated on an ongoing basis. So as things change with COVID, there's more resources that are posted up there to help you. There are also updates that go out by email to let you know what new information has been posted. Here's some stuff, one of the areas I never planned when I started my business, I never planned to, in school, to become a business person. And what's great about this is it lets you fill in the gaps. So like projecting cash flow needs and having a little Excel template that lets you do that. Some of the other just basic Excel templates to do a P&L or balance sheet, all that information is here and explained on the Initiate site. Kyle's going to cover later how to find new customers, and there's some really good information here. Social media marketing, all that stuff that you might have questions, and you can go out on the internet and find some of this stuff, but you don't really know who it's coming from. And all this content is developed by people who are looking out for you as a business owner. So it's pretty neutral.
Hey, John. John.
Go ahead, Pete.
Can you pop up there to the find or the coach section once?
Sure. Forget where we,
So
yeah,
you're right.
contact the coach here, yeah.
So if you, these are the coaches that we utilize. So if you keep going down there, I don't know why that didn't come off on yours.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
Yeah. But if you ever have questions, and we're going to work with Christopher to see if we can get the Oklahoma crew in this group. But if you have, there's a contact form with a message saying, hey, I need some assistance with ... and whatever you need in that. But yeah, and one of the biggest things, if you go back to that COVID section, John.
Sure.
One of the things that I always ask anybody that I'm going to work with, if they have a current business, so this will be just an FYI for you guys that have a current business, is we sit down and have the first meeting, one of my first questions is, do you know what your sales were yesterday? And you'd be surprised on how many small business owners or entrepreneurs have no idea what their sales were yesterday or last month. And then the second question is, do you know what your break-even point is? So, and I'm one more on the numbers part of your business, because if you don't know your numbers, it's really hard for you to know whether you're making money or losing money. So it's one of the probably the biggest relief you'll ever have in your life is to put together a 90-day financial scenario for your business and know that over the next 90 days, this is my anticipated break-even point. And it's not always 100% accurate, but it's a good educated guess of where you need to be. So.
Okay. And real quick before we move on, did anybody run into any trouble getting signed up? Okay, it doesn't sound like it. Okay, I want to go ahead and we'll play the video here. Is the audio coming through, guys?
It doesn't sound like it. If you share your screen again and choose.
I did. Hold on just a second. I'll start it over.
Okay. Yeah, make sure computer audio is checked when you share. There's also a video clip setting if you have that checked.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and share it again. There we go.
An organization's business model can be described with 9 basic building blocks: your customer segments, your value proposition for each segment, the channels to reach customers, customer relationships you establish, the revenue streams you generate, the key resources and key activities you require to create value, the key partners, and the cost structure of the business model. But it's not sufficient to just enumerate the 9 building blocks. What you really want to do is to map them out on a pre-structured canvas. This is what we call the business model canvas, a tool that helps you map, discuss, design, and invent new business models. Let's briefly go through the 9 building blocks, starting with the customer segments. These are all the people or organizations for which you're creating value. This includes simple users and paying customers. For each segment, you have a specific value proposition. These are the bundles of products and services that create value for your customers. The channels describe through which touchpoints you're interacting with customers and delivering value. The customer relationships outline the type of relationship you're establishing with your customers. The revenue streams make clear how and through which pricing mechanisms your business model is capturing value. Then you need to describe the infrastructure to create, deliver, and capture value. The key resources show which assets are indispensable in your business model. The key activities show which things you really need to be able to perform well. The key partners show who can help you leverage your business model, since you won't own all key resources yourself, nor will you perform all key activities. Then once you understand your business model's infrastructure, you'll also have an idea of its cost structure. So with the business model canvas, you can map out your entire business model in one image. This works for startup entrepreneurs just as well as for the most senior executives.
Okay, so that covers the business canvas model. Kyle, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, great, thanks.
Or we can call it the cattle model.
The what?
'Cause I know you're going to talk about the business cattle model too. We're going to talk about that later.
Okay. John, I think I got bumped off here.
Oh, I stopped the screen sharing. You should be able to. I'll let Stephanie is back. Just let her in.
Yeah, Kyle, you're a co-host, so you should be able to screen share. Is it not letting you?
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So what John just introduced us to was the sort of business canvas model here. So guys can see my screen okay?
Yep, looks good.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk through a couple things here. So one of the things we think about when you think about forming your business is coming up with this beginning with the end in mind. And one of the tools that help you that is often talked about is called, this business plan. And before you do a business plan, you could also do a business model, which is the business canvas model. It's all the choices you make as a business person. And so if you think about all those choices that we saw with that business canvas model, to the extent they can all focus the same way, then you can start building what I call the high performance organization. And so, who customers you go after, what kind of relationships you want to build, how long you want to keep them. But part of doing that before you maybe get to your plan is doing the Canvas model. So part of the model and part of the plan is asking some basic fundamental questions like, what business are you in and not in? The not is important. What are you not going to do? What's the basic business model of the Canvas? Who are the competitors and who could be? How is the world changing out there that would impact your business? And then how you're positioned in the market. And this sixth one is part of this business plan and business model is, where's your sources of advantage? This guy, John, what's his name, Bezos?
Yeah, I've heard of him before.
Yeah, got Amazon, which topped 3,500 in their market share or stock price. He would say, why would I get into a business unless I had an advantage? So one of the things part of your business plan does is help you think about those advantages, okay? So generally, you're going to see a traditional plan will have these sort of kind of elements to it, these chapters. And if you go to the site, you'll see some referrals on business plans. So one of the things I want you to be thinking about as you start building your plan or building your model is it helps you then start thinking about the future. So some people would ask, well, what's the difference between a plan and a model? Well, the business model is really a visual way. It's a way to tell the story about how you create value. It's a way of doing business. It's all the elements working together here. So the key thing, it's a visual way. And one of the things, hopefully everybody got a copy of the template on the Business Canvas model. Did everybody get that in the email? Well, that's a way for you to start writing down the choices you make about your business. And again, it's a visual way. And so let me show you some examples of that. So John walked us through the examples. There's the customers. There's at the center of what makes you unique. Why would choose someone like Corbin? If I were to choose you, what makes you different and unique from someone else? Or if I'm talking barbecue, how is my barbecue shop different from someone else? If I'm talking a coffee shop, how am I the same or different? It almost becomes the first stake in the ground. Then you think about the channels. How do you reach people? Is it internet? Is it face-to-face? Is it social media? And then you start thinking about, what's the long-term relationship do I want? Because what we want to be thinking about is the lifetime value of the customer. And so we want to be clear and articulate what kind of relationship. Is it just a one-off coming in today and walking out tomorrow? Or it's someone who you want to come back on an ongoing basis that then brings their family, who the family then brings their friends, and you can build a long-lasting relationship. And then the other piece is, how do you make money? What are the various revenue streams? Various revenue streams coming in. Not one or two, but as many revenue streams as you can think about. Then you think about, what resources do I need? What capital? What's the key work activities? Who are my key partners? Everyone's heard probably the story about a couple years ago in London. Burger King shut down for like 2 or 3 days. And why did they shut down? Because they changed suppliers, and the suppliers could not deliver their food products. And then the last one is thinking about your cost structure. So we call this the business model canvas, and we'll practice on it a little bit more throughout this morning. If you also go out to the site, here's what the business model canvas looks like, and you can download this from the site. So if you get a chance today, here's the template you can access. Now, how that may look like is something as simple as this. So that's the canvas, but there's sort of different ways to look at the canvas. They call it the front end on the right side, the customer front end, the operational back end, and in the center is the value, And the bottom is the economic model, which, Pete talked about is the numbers. Can you make money or lose money? So those are sort of like the rough schematic of this Canvas model. Has anybody worked in a restaurant before? Does everybody remember what role they had? Were they in the front end working with the customers or in the back cooking? So this is what we try to understand. Where's the front end? Where's the back end? Where's the value in the economic model? And here's an example of what it could look like. Now, Harrison, this is probably what your room looks like, right?
Yeah, you're not far off.
So this is sort of like, you can use it, little Post-it notes, but this helps you try to understand the choices you make, okay? So let me look at and walk through a couple examples on the front end here. Again, the front end is what faces the customers. So the first thing we want to be thinking about is who are these customer segments? Because not all customers are the same, okay? We can't go chasing after every customer. So the key thing is we want to find out is who are the most important customers, okay? So what I'd like to do, and I'm going to actually click through to the site and play this simple video for us here, okay? So I'm going to back out a little bit here. I'm going to go out to the internet here. Let me back up here a little bit.
Yeah, remember to turn that audio on. Don't do what the tech guy did.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I've worked out here. So here's my screen, and I've bookmarked the sign-in for the website. I've got my email and password in. I've logged in, and what I want to do is scroll down to management. We'll go to marketing basics. And I've clicked on this 5 simple steps to find new business customers. So I'm going to pull that up. And I'm going to enlarge the screen here. And I'm going to play a few minutes of this. So pay particular, there's 5 simple steps, but I'm going to only show the first 2 here. So with this, it'll take a few minutes here. So let me go ahead and play this, okay? And John, give me feedback if it sounds okay. Sounds okay. Ready?
Sounds good, Kyle.
We were really one of the first to come out with what's called a loyalty program, or a frequency card program. So in those days, it was a stamp card, and bought 10, got the 11th for free. My real objective, however, was to aggregate data on consumers. And in 1995, people weren't really talking about data on consumers. Today, that's ubiquitous. So, what I did was I handed people a card, said, get 10 punches, you get a free one. But on the back of the card, you had to fill out your name and your address and so on. And when they turned them in, I would take those cards back to my little IBM PS2, which probably has less memory than my watch does today, and go enter that customer information into a database and start sending them other discounting methods like couponing and so on. That later became what we call our eWards program. It's all electronically based today, but that was an early out kind of program.
So to launch or grow any business, you need customers. I mean, think about it. Where does your new business come from? Friends, networking, websites, referrals, online business listings, email subscriptions. You may find new customers by simply being in the right place at the right time. Do you have all the new business you need? Are you making as much money as you can? If you aren't, chances are you need to focus more on finding customers. Try these 5 simple steps to find and connect with new customers. Develop a prospect list. Decide who your target customer is. Define the value of what you're selling. Create a communications package. And then, if you can, automate the whole process.
Our strategy is we have a list, we work a list. So we have a top 50 list of, plus or minus, 50 plus or minus of specific prospects that we are reaching out to. We then, next to that, have more of a serendipity list. So every week we have a pipeline meeting, new business pipeline meeting, and we have a small group of the agency who's really interested in new business. That's the other thing. You want the people who are really passionate about selling and about new business to participate in that. So they come and we just talk about, I met this person, I made this contact, I heard this, I did this. And in that meeting, we link in with people, we try to reach out, set up lunches. We're trying to take active steps in the kind of serendipity meeting, just to take advantage of real-time contacts, people who might be looking for a small project, looking for something that we can help with. And that's often in our business how you make a first contact, is you're able to step in and help somebody out with something, and then you grow that relationship.
Develop a prospect list. You see, ideally, you want to be prospecting for customers who are already likely to buy from you. Try drawing your list from these resources first. Referrals. People your existing customers have contacted and suggested that they get in touch with you. This may be from a referral program you implement or simply word of mouth. Networks. People you've connected with personally at industry events, local events, or online via social networking. Website visitors. People who've shown an interest in your offerings by accessing your website and leaving contact data or opting into your newsletter. Purchase lists. Selling direct to consumers? Well, you may purchase a list based on criteria like housing type, personal interest, or geography. If you're selling to other businesses, you may purchase a list based on business type, number of employees, titles, or the profession that typically buy your product. Data quality is always critical. If you purchase a list, look for a provider that offers both solid customer service and a guarantee.
Our ideal client is someone that either is in the travel and tourism industry or nonprofit realm, but also someone that has the mindset of wanting to be progressive and do things in a way that we really feel that is our strength. That means listening to us. That means taking some advice. It means a little bit of give and take. And that's what we really look for. We really want clients that are going to be active in their projects. We want clients who are going to give us the freedom to be creative and use research and use analytics to their best advantage. That's really what we're looking to try to do.
Of course, before you can hone your prospect list, you'll need to work out what kind of person is most likely to buy from you. Or in other words, determine who your ideal customer is. Decide who your target customer is. As a business owner, you should be able to easily list at least 5 characteristics of your ideal customers.
What we know about our ideal client is most of them are women. They're between 35 to 45 years old. They make more than $45,000 a year, and most of them have children, and they also work, and they have some sort of decision making either in the household or at work. They're planners. They're very organized. And they love spending time either with family or with their girls.
Are you a retailer selling high-end cycling gear direct to consumers? Well, if so, your ideal customer might be between the ages of 30 and 45, married, an outdoor enthusiast, active online, and lives within 60 miles of your retail store. Do you sell value-added food products to other businesses? Well, then your ideal customer might be a natural gourmet retailer, one who supports local products, with annual sales greater than $750,000, population of 150,000 within a 15-mile radius and within 500-mile radius of your processing facility.
I think about a story with my head wrap business. I have a friend who is very supportive and will listen to all of my ideas. And then I realized one day when I asked her to do something for me that she's not my ideal client. So even though she's super supportive and will listen to everything that I have to say, realizing at the end of the day, she's not the person I'm trying to sell to. So even just thinking through what does my ideal client look like and writing that down, being really strategic about writing down the ideas that I have, the thoughts that I have, and like I said, talking to my clients or the people on my team so that I can make sure I'm being strategic.
Having a hard time coming up with your list? Consider your top 5 to 10 customers. What do they have in common? The answer will help you profile your ideal customer. If you have a customer database, analyze it. Who's bought from you in the past? What do these customers have in common? Look for patterns and trends.
I had a mentor come to me and said, you really need to define what category of businesses you're going after. You can't just take all those things that come through the door. And I did. I said, well, we're going to do all businesses. We're going to do nonprofit work. We're going to do travel and tourism. We're going to do business to business. Really, over the next 6 months, as I began to think about it, I kind of thought that maybe they were right.
Now, if you're like most businesses, about 20% of your customers produce 80% of your sales. Mine your customer lists and take a look at who makes up this 20%. Study your customer's geography, find your customer niche, and know who your most profitable customers are. Now look for more like them. You see, focusing your efforts on who your prospective customers are and how they buy is half the battle in gaining new customers. So what's the other half? Well, it's providing potential customers with reasons to buy your product or services instead of your competitors. Every time your customer sees a communication from you, they should have a call to action incentive that encourages them to respond and eventually buy from you. A call to action will help convert a prospective customer into a sale. It might build a sense of urgency, encouraging the customer to act or miss out on the deal. Provide the customer an incentive to take action while you have their attention.
The involvement with our business in the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce does help because you have that in-person relationship and communication. And so when they have events where you can come and give samples of your food, people are looking at the work that you're doing, they're trying your food, and they eventually will book you for an event of theirs.
Remember, if you're selling to another business, make sure your prospect has a budget, authority to buy, and a business need.
Okay, so I wanted to share that just so you got a good sense of seeing who the customer is here. So let me just pull up and walk through so we got to see who the customer is. So that's the first on the far right. So in terms of understanding the customers, not all customers are the same. So you got to sort out who are the primary customers. And as they talked about in the video under that second bullet, you want to sort of develop a detailed portrait of what those folks would look like. Okay? So it's like Corbin, it's not everyone, everybody who walks in the door is going to be a primary customer here. Okay, so the second thing I'd like you to look at is in the center is this called the value proposition. And that value proposition is thinking about essentially under that third bullet, why would I choose you? Why would they choose you? And part of that is trying to understand is what's their pain or their ache? What can you take away? How can you address their needs? And how you solve that problem. And so one of the things that you want to be thinking about is understanding the customer so well that you can take away some of their pain. So if I'm running a barbecue food truck, I'm thinking about what's their pain. Well, they may not have enough time to drive into town to go have lunch. So speed is really important. Speed is really important. So you move the food truck close to them so it solves their time problem. So think about trying to understand the customers well enough to solve their problem here. Again, ultimately, everyone has a choice. I can choose food truck that has barbecue, that's outside my business, or a restaurant downtown. So again, you want to be thinking about why they would choose you, okay? And the key thing you want to be thinking about is trying to think about, as much as I'd like to think about how I'm like someone else, I want to be thinking about how I'm different and how can people see my difference. So that's the value proposition, okay? So I'd like to walk through is a couple sort of marketing stories that ties into the right side of the model here. So the first thing is thinking about in terms of what's marketing. And so marketing is sort of thinking about, it's how you get the message out about your product out to your customers. And you're always thinking about the customer's needs and their satisfaction. And then the third bullet is understanding the customer and how do you reach the customer. And we saw that in the video where they were trying to identify who's their primary customer and who's the 20% customer that's going to give me 80% of my sales. And then the next to last bullet is be thinking about what's that long-term relationship I want. Is this someone I want to invest time and money in so that they can be reoccurring or give me good referrals, okay? So part of putting a plan together around that marketing is trying to articulate and developing sort of a plan. And you'll see a lot more data on the website that talks about how you develop these plans, how do you position yourself. But you want to be thinking again, fundamentally, why would they would buy? How big is the market? Is it small or is it big? And who are the competitors? Who are you competing with every day? And essentially asking the question why they buy. We saw that in the video too. And then how you'll reach your customers. And we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow and the impact of social media and how it impacts your customers here, okay? So I'd like to just address real quickly these four Ps. And in the book, they'll talk about a fifth P, which is called people. So product, price, place, and promotion. So thinking about the product, the key point, if you can write this down, don't think about the product you're offering, but think about what problem does your product solve for the customer. Changes your mindset. The second one is promotion. It's understanding who are those right customers and how do you encourage them to engage with you. The third thing is you want to be thinking about pricing. And there's like two basic levels of pricing. One is what we call the demand pricing. And that's the highest price that the market will bear. The floor is what you'd call this cost-based pricing. What price do I have to get to make a reasonable profit? So if you're in the contracting business, are you in the demand pricing or the cost-based pricing? If you're in a retail shop, are you demand pricing or cost-based? If you're running a food truck, demand or cost? If I'm contracting with the federal government, is it demand pricing or cost? So that's pricing. The other thing is you want to be thinking about place. And this is where John will talk a little bit about tomorrow, how these worlds are colliding. And one's replacing the other. And what we've seen is a lot of physical retail shops have closed up. And particularly with this pandemic, how that's impacted the access. So I'd like you to be thinking now about, it's not about a single place. It's about any place. In the old days, you went to a store like Home Depot and walked in their store and bought stuff. And then they said, well, let's add a warehouse. Now we can order out. Then they said, let's order online where they can deliver. And we've seen Amazon be very, very successful in that. And then what we've seen now is people ordering off social media. I was with a project with a big box store 5-6 years ago, and they were thinking about shutting down or not adding any more retail shops or stores or big box stores because they knew the world was coming where people were going to be ordering off their phones. So we call that place. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to back out a little bit here and then show you back to this section. So let me go back to the site again. And we can see that in terms of these 5 Ps, let's see, it's going to be under Introduction to Marketing. And you can see now these sort of 5 Ps out on the website. So if you want to later on, you can go back and kick around in the website and see these sort of 5 Ps out here. And along that, there are some other basics here. So again, we've got product, promotion, price, place. And I only talked about in my slides is those 4 Ps, but the 5th one is sort of this thing of people, okay? So that's about out here, and you can see there's a number of other sources of data that can be very helpful when you're thinking about your business here. So let me back out again. So guys can see my screen okay, John?
Yep.
So this next one is we want to think about, so we looked at customers, value proposition is the relationship. So part of this relationship is trying to understand fundamentally, what's the relationship you want to get, keep, or grow? And that's how you build a loyal customer base. So that's the customer relationship. And here are the various customer relationship types. There's this relationship type around personal assistance. The second one is around dedicated personal assistance or self-service or automated services. Or as you start building these relationships, you start forming around communities or co-creation. So the question I would ask is, if you think about Amazon, which one, John, do you think Amazon is? Is it a 1 or a 6?
Well, I'd probably put it at a 4.
Why do you
I mean,
think that, John?
Well, just because they've moved. It's almost like they're trying to automate retail with the reorder buttons and, you know, it's volume stuff done at volume and automated is at least where I think they're headed. It's self-service, but it's also automated. Where were you going, Kyle?
No, I think you're right. I mean, it's somewhere between this 3 and 4 here. It's 3 and 4 because, you know, you can order online and get stuff. And then you have this also automated services. The idea is that that some relationships, you're just going to have to talk to folks. It's the hands-on, say hello, build a relationship with on individual basis. And then further down, it's where you want to maybe build stronger bonds with folks. The key thing I want you to be thinking about is not all customers are the same. And you want to think about what kind of relationship do you want to build here. So that's—
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle, real quick, an interesting one. In Houston, I assume do you have Kohl's department stores in your market? Is everybody familiar with those? They're kind of a value chain of department stores that I keep an eye on. And for them, you know, they're trying to sort, going back to what you're saying about place, they've been trying to sort out where they fit in the market. If you look at what's going on with retail, all their traditional competitors are kind of going by the wayside. And so it's got to be pretty disorienting to them. And I've kind of been watching them see how they're going to try and figure this out. Their new tagline is here today, here to stay. They're spending money just to educate people that they plan to be around. And I think it goes back to what you've got up here on the slide about customer relationships, is they've decided that for better or worse, they've done an online partnership with Amazon and all the other stuff, but they want to try and pick up that remaining retail customer who still wants to shop at a brick and mortar place. And it's a real interesting strategy because there's no guarantee that they will be here tomorrow, but they're hanging their whole message on it.
That's great. Do you know of any ones that are like this far-in co-creation where you're, I mean, because John, you're into the website development world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself in? Is it on personal assistance, or is it in co-creation?
Co-creation, and assistance. I mean, our kind of target customer is smaller businesses that don't have a huge online or marketing staff of their own. An interesting co-creation is we designed a site a couple years ago, actually for a guy down in Oklahoma who he wanted it was a self-service kind of model, but he helped you through it, where you could go in and design your own tombstone or design one for a family member. And you could design the whole thing yourself for that day that you'd need it and prepay it. Or you could grab one kind of a Monuments R Us kind of a retail play, and then he was shipping them all over the country. But that was his value added. It was just a block of granite, and then he worked with you to customize it.
Okay. Okay, great.
Hey, Harrison, if you could just keep checking the waiting room to see if anybody's in there. We might have one more joining us.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so I'm back with you guys again. So one of the things I'd like to do is for us to get a little practice in, okay? And so part of that practice is we broke up into teams yesterday. John, what team did you guys have?
Our group was working on the exotics with Corbin.
Okay, Corbin, let me look around. Okay, Corbin, that's so your exotics, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a business name?
Yeah, I came up with a name a few weeks ago just because someone's like, what are you called? And I was like, 918 Exotics. I looked into it. It's open, so.
Okay, so Corbin, we're gonna form your group, you and John together and your team. And what I'd like you to do is go in and build the business canvas model out as much as you can in the time allotted. And
Okay.
Harrison, I'm thinking we can give each other sort of 20 minutes here, okay?
Okay. Do you want all the groups to do that too?
Yeah, all the other groups.
Okay.
So hang
Okay.
on, let me talk about our group.
Yep.
Who was it with us yesterday? Was Caleb? Who was with us? Caleb, you was with us yesterday, right?
I was with you. Yeah.
So Caleb, what was our group?
It was Smokehouse, the food truck.
A smokehouse food truck. So we're going to go back to that group and build up build out the Canvas model for that one. Okay? And then now Harrison, who was with you in your group?
So we have a business called Let's Talk, and it's geared towards seniors who don't necessarily know a lot about technology, but they want to. And it's kind of like a sort of a education and kind of training a little bit on how to get them to use stuff like Zoom, how to use social media, how to communicate with your friends and family, because a lot of that's moving digital, and we're not really going back. So it's kind of just to bring them up to speed on how to communicate with all this new technology.
Okay, so we've got 3 new teams formed. And so what I'd like to do is, why don't we do this? Let's take a 10-minute break starting at 11 o'clock. I know it's 10:57, but let's reconvene back into our teams at, say, 11:10, and then we'll work in those teams for at least 20 minutes, okay? And then I'd like you to pick someone in the teams other than John or Harrison and myself who will report out what work they've achieved on their business Canvas model, okay? So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, grab a cup of coffee, and if Harrison, one of the things I'd like you to do is, we may have a few people who've joined us that's not in a team.
Yep.
If you could go ahead and place them in a team.
Yep.
And when we reconvene, Harrison, will we reconvene back into our teams? Let's go ahead and get back here as a group.
Before
we break up, okay?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so just 10-minute break, and let's get back together in 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
All right, great.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah.
I got some feedback that the slides were a little blurry, and we can have that happen when there's a big difference between the resolution on your computer and on somebody else's. It might help if you maximize them when you're jumping around. To do that, you just hold down your shift button and hit F5, and it'll take whatever slide you're talking about and make it full screen.
Okay, great, thanks.
Uh-huh.
Okay, folks getting back in there? Ready to start?
Ready on my end.
Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to play out my screen again. So what I'd like to do is, let's just go ahead and we'll go back to everybody here. So Harrison, so
Yes.
what I'd like to do is go ahead and break up into our 3 teams.
Okay.
And is there someone that's new today that hadn't been part of a team? Can you, Harrison, move them into a team?
Yeah, I think I've moved everybody. If you're in a team, if you were in a team yesterday and you're in the wrong one today, let Kyle or John or me know, and I'll move you. I think I've got everything created the same way it was yesterday, but some people have different names than they did yesterday, so I'm just doing my best with that. I did have a question about April. Do you remember what team you were in yesterday, or if you were in a team yesterday?
I may have got a note from her. Okay, she said she wasn't on a team, so.
Okay, I'll just put her in Kyle.
Load up our
because,
team.
Yeah, that has the least right now, so I'll add her to that one.
Okay.
And
So-
then I'll add Stephanie to mine. I think that's everybody.
And Eric, we went ahead and put you, since you got assigned 2 places yesterday, you're going to be in Harrison's team, pinch hitting for Chris this time.
Yeah, I had
Yes, sir.
Crystalline on yesterday, but now you're up.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move back to our teams, okay? And,
All right.
and what we're gonna do is there's a tool that I found called Canvanizer. And it's a digital way to do the business canvas model. So if you could, Harrison and John, if you guys could go ahead and utilize that.
Yep.
Capture the choices they make. And then we'll pull that up and share that in a few moments and show it in, say, 20 minutes, okay? Harrison?
Okay.
Starting at 11, let's say 11:15, say in 20 minutes, we'll come back together as a team and share what we've got. And be sure and identify someone from your team to present.
Okay.
Okay, so they may have them share at least what you pull up on your screen here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and form our teams and go to work for a little bit. Okay. And I think you have to just hit a button called join.
And I'm just gonna wait here, make sure everybody gets in, and then I'll go join mine. Looks like we just got just a couple more seconds and people should be filling back in here.
Hey, good job, team.
Yeah, this is good. I almost kind of want to start this now.
Hey, there's a market for it, bud.
There is.
Yes,
I actually worked with a gentleman a couple years ago. He was I think he was in his early 80s, and he decided he wanted to become an Uber driver just to make some extra money. And we got it done. So maybe there's but we had to go get him a phone. I mean, he didn't have a smartphone. He didn't have anything. So it was interesting, but he got it worked out. I'm not sure why people aren't filtering back in yet.
Are we all back yet?
People should be filtering back in here soon, I think. Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
my group's here.
Okay, I think we're back here for a minute. I think we're back. Let me see. Were you able to save what you had?
I still got it up. I'm not sure if it's saved. I was too afraid to try anything until after we were done.
Yeah, I thought, Kyle, we'd just screen share when it came around to our group and then let our person do the overview.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Which team? And we'll just do a screen share. And you walk us through your business idea and how far you got on the canvas here. Or do you guys need to take a short break? Are we okay? We're okay?
I think we're good.
Okay.
We can start if you want.
Okay, once you take over, Harrison.
Okay, sounds good.
Show us your screen and then have someone else other than yourself talk to.
Okay, we're gonna have Jasmine take us through here. I'm gonna share right now. Okay, everybody see it? And if Jasmine, if you need me to scroll, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. So our business idea was really to reach our target audiences that potentially were undereducated on how to utilize technology, as well as like different things as far as Zoom, online, emails, finances, and we'll kind of go through that as we go through the business plan. We got pretty far. I think we were able to put something in every category. And so we'll also touch on what our target population is within as I go through the program that we set up. So hopefully I am able to relay the information correctly that we walk through. So we started with our key partners. And so we were thinking IT companies, university colleges, and communities would be great key partners in how we can basically advertise this information and connect with different people to discuss some programs, workshops, and ideas that we want to put in place to be able to educate this targeted audience. So some key activities with that would be, we were thinking we should break it up for this target population. I feel like I should jump to customer segments so you'll know who our target audience is and why we decided to go the route we did. So I'll jump for a second to customer segments. We thought seniors and the elders would be a good target audience because right now, due to COVID-19, we're having to really go online for a lot of things and become virtual. And so these are our populations that we thought would struggle in this area and would need the most education to be able to be more active in the community and in their programs that they're working with. So seniors and elders were one. Low income, just because of maybe they're in rural areas, maybe they don't have the resources or the finances to be able to have a computer at home or have access to go right down the street to a library or such, as well as limited technology access, like I mentioned, and then also limited technology skills. So if you're living in these rural areas too, It's not necessarily that the older population that might struggle with this. It might be a younger population, just because, again, they might not have a computer at home. They might not have internet access. And so how can we help this population be better online and virtually? And so that is why we targeted. So it's not necessarily just for the elders and seniors, but we thought that also some of the younger population could benefit from some of these programs and resources that we put in place for them. So jumping back, that is why for our key activities, we decided that we should really break it down for this population. We didn't want to overload them with information. So we wanted to at least start with an introduction, get everyone on the same page, because some might be familiar with email and some online and have a little more interaction than others, but we wanted to make sure that we started them all on the same page, and then maybe went through a series of different activities or events or trainings that kind of got them, they didn't feel like, okay, this is just too much. And so that's why there's an introduction there. The type of trainings that we just kind of came up with very quickly was, of course, Zoom, and just having that virtual online presence for meeting spaces. FaceTime is also a part of that. How do you work that? Facebook, social media in general, for those that might have to interact with their family in different type of capacities. We thought those were some top and key important trainings to start with. Also, some other trainings would be over finances. There was examples of just not knowing how to send your grandchild some money, or even just not even an elder. Again, this can be a parent, like, I don't know how to work Cash App. What? Is this safe? You know, is it secure? I don't want to put my information online like that. So kind of going through some of those steps and how to still be connected with others, or, you know, around the world or in the community and family. But then also email was a big one, because some don't even have an email. So just breaking it down for them in different activities were some of the things we came up with. And then value propositions. What makes us stand out? Why would we want them to choose us over someone else who's maybe offering similar programs? And so in this category, we thought it should be attractive, of course. It needs to be well thought out. So we need to have a plan. We need to be organized. We need to have a personal contact for our program. But we also want it to be simple. With this audience, we don't want it to be big words, or for the younger population, acronyms, but it needs to be simple language, easy to understand, and easy for them to know what our program is without having to say too much. It also needs to be visual, because not a lot of people like to read a lot. And that goes across the board for any, I think, audience. We want something that immediately draws our eye to it. We can understand it, and we don't have to read too much into it to know what this program is about and what we're trying to accomplish. Customer relationships. This is where we want to get more personal with them. We think it's important, especially with the groups that we're working with, is to be very personal, have in-person communication. We can't look at everything online due to what we're trying to accomplish. And so, of course, being online only would not work with this group. So that's why it'd be more pick up the phone, maybe having some pop-up events to where we do meet and greets, speaking directly to the customer and reaching out to them, but then also really truly getting to know them and not feeling like we're just selling a product, but that we really truly care about them, and that we want to make that connection. So it's important to remember names, remember little details that makes them think like, oh, they cared, or they actually paid attention to what I was saying. We also have to be consistent with this group. We can't 1 minute talk to them and then 2 weeks later we don't respond to an email or phone call that they sent us. So we have to make sure that we're constantly available. We also thought it'd be great to include, and part of that is building trust, but then also we thought of different places to where we can provide extra. So like food sometimes, especially for this population, And that always brings out people anyways, right? We love to eat and talk. And then having a follow-up plan. So just making sure like, hey, just want to touch base and make sure everything's good to go. So channels, ways of getting this information out to grab this audience would be through the tribe, of course. And with that, I guess that would kind of carry over to key resources as well. But we could send out through the tribe, church, direct mails, which is anything that's going out in the mail, whether that's a postcard, as well as schools, since we mentioned some of that younger population too that might not have access to things. These would be the places we would hit first to kind of push out information to the communities. Key resources, funding. Of course, we would use the tribe as well to kind of help with some grants. Physical space. We think location is a big key to accessing these different audiences, is because not everyone has the resources to be able to drive in town or doesn't have that in their house. But utilizing some of the community buildings that are that are through the tribe as well, that are in different locations that kind of hit our area of our service area. And then resources as well would be like online capabilities, technology, internet access, and then a visual manual, something that's easy for them to follow and understand that they can refer back to. So that's what we got.
Hey, questions for Jasmine? Anybody got any question or observations?
Hey, Jasmine.
Just unmute and ask your question. That's okay, John.
Jasmine, this sounds great. I'm emailing you the contact information for my dad in California. He needs help with a printer, and mom's having trouble with her webcam. Just let me know when it's taken care of. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Hi,
All
John.
right.
Thanks. I'll
We'll send an
provide
invoice out.
information, and we can set her up with an online program, or we can see if we have any local resources for her.
The only thing I noticed is you didn't have a lot under the cost structure and the revenue streams. Please tell me I'm not it, but I might be willing to do that.
Yeah, you're it.
Yeah, we didn't quite get that far.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll try to fill this out again. I mean, update it, get a feel for it. And for those that it's your own business, you may want to take a look at it and see if you would change anything around, modify things. Like for instance, scroll up just a little bit, Harrison. Let's look at the customers. So you can actually play this and say, which channel works best for seniors? What do you think, Jasmine? Which channel works best for seniors?
I would say the church or the tribe.
Okay.
Or
So
maybe
you-
direct mail. I don't know. That's hard because we send something out in the mail. They would.
So this is really important. You start to think about this as like a puzzle, and all these are pieces and they all fit together. So when you identify a customer, you're going to think about which channel is best for them. The channel is how you reach them. How do you reach those seniors? How do you get the message out about them? You'd say, how do I get the message out about the value proposition through what channel to which customer? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it depends on region too, though, or location, because, you know, around here, there's a lot of rural areas. And so there might not be.
You could do senior citizen centers.
Oh, yeah.
Channel.
And we put that in key resources under senior buildings.
That
Yeah,
could be
down
good
here.
partners. That's a good point.
They would be a good partner too. I didn't even think of that.
So see, the idea of this canvas is that once you start brainstorming this and you try to get a larger group, you can start modifying things, improving on things, hatching the conversation long before you start building your business plan. And the best ones are the ones that are really focused. So Jasmine, last question, then we'll go to the next group. So do you think tomorrow you could, in less than 2 minutes, share this business model?
Yes. How long did I go today?
I don't know. No, so you did a great job today, but tomorrow I'd like you to think about, if I had to share it as a pitch, how would I put this all together in, say, less than 2 minutes? Okay?
Oh,
So I'm gonna put that challenge back onto you a little bit here.
On me or my group?
Well, you to present in your group to help you out.
Okay.
All right. All right, good job. I don't know how we clap on this thing. So let's say, I'm gonna
There's
put
a
my
reaction.
reaction as a clap here. So that's good. Good job. Good job,
Thank
Jasmine.
you. Good job, team.
Okay, hey, John, you want to go next?
Sure. Okay, can everybody see our canvas there?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Corbin's going to lead us through it.
All right, so am I here? Can y'all hear me?
Gotcha.
Cool.
Sounds
cool.
good.
So key partners would be Facebook wholesalers, word of mouth. A lot of people, you know, just doing good business. People talk about you and
Hey,
they recommend other people.
Corbin, for a second, come back and tell me what's your business again?
918 Exotics.
Okay, and then set a suggestion on how you start. Start with your name,
Okay.
then the value proposition, and who are the customers, and then you can
Name.
jump around. Does
Okay.
that make sense? So good. Thank you.
So I'm with 918 Exotics, and the value propositions I have is the products I carry are hard to find. I have a local monopoly on the centipedes here. And I give incentives to my customers. I give out a free things, you know, if they spend a lot of money, or I'll cut them discounts. That helps out a lot, especially for turning business or even recommending their friends. That's a big part of it.
Hey, Corbin, real quick, tell everybody what what you can sell a centipede for, because that was an eye opener for me.
So I can take a regular centipede, you know, from this locality. They normally sell, like, you know, the top market price is about 100, 125 bucks, but I sell them for 80. But just slight color variations, like either a red or a yellow, can take that $80 centipede to a $180 centipede. I've even sold them for $300 for all red ones, and I don't even know if they've been documented by science, honestly, but I need the money, so I'm going to sell them, and people are more than happy to buy them. So just certain little variations in the products I carry make a huge difference. Huge difference.
Oh, keep going. Who's your customers then? Who are you targeting?
I can't even see that over here. My customers are mainly, you know, young men, 19 to 40. That's who I see a lot of my online business through. Singles, families. Honestly, everyone is into pets. There's not really a specific demographic, but online, mostly men. At the reptile expos, a lot of kids. So I guess families, they bring their families up and talk to them. So I mean, it's really a market that everyone is into. And even working at Petco and other pet stores before I broke away and do my own thing, you run into people from all demographics of life, all walks of life. You know, there's not really a set customer, honestly.
And but you said the centipedes do real well up north because they don't live there.
Yeah, you can't find Scolopendra heros, which is what I catch here, and I have the monopoly on. You can't find those in the northern states. You can't find them in other countries. Just a few of these southern states and a few areas, honestly. So that really helps with the selling up north. And if I could take it, you know, out of country when I had my export license, there'd be a lot of money to be made sending these outside the country. So really places where people can't get these things is where I make most of my money, and that's through shipping.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about those key activities and resources a little bit, because those are pretty unique to your business.
Yeah. So key resources and activities I really do on a regular basis. So like key activities would be shipping, quick replies. So pretty much like when I have a product, I know a customer wants or it comes in stock. I go right to that customer before I even post it online or on my website or anything like that, or on my my Morph Market page, because I know that customer 9 times out of 10 will buy that and make a repeat sale. So quick replies are very important, especially if you want to make that money fast and, you know, get more product in. Photos is a big thing. Customers love to see photos of the shipping process. I always update customers with a photo of their package being dropped off at FedEx so they know it's there on time. It makes me look good, makes them feel, you know, better about spending more money. Paying for shipping, that's a big deal. Always paying for shipping. Out-of-state trips, make a lot of money going out of state. Actually, next week I'm supposed to go pick up some crocodiles in Alabama. So rental cars, it's a big deal. Printing shipping labels, knowing how to navigate FedEx or USPS, any of that, that's also a key activity that, you know, it's kind of scary at first, but once you get into it, FedEx is super streamlined, easy, very easy. Key resources would be the community. You know, a lot of people I've noticed like to fight here and argue here in my industry. I try to be friends with everyone here who's in the pet trade, because that keeps good relations up. Because if they can't provide the product, they send their customer over to you. Resources here I have, you know, I know a lot of people that do wholesale. You know, I will go out into the community and find, you know, locals who know where to find these animals at, and I'll go collect them, and I'll pay them money, or I'll pay them, you know, a small portion, you know, wholesale cost to collect them for me. It takes out a lot of the labor, which is pretty much hiking or walking or driving, camping. A pickup truck, that is a huge key resource for what I do. Most of what I do cannot be done without a pickup truck. A lot of the roads I go on can be accessed. And, you know, when I have to move, let's say, like I've had to move lions a few times or tigers, pickup truck was key for that. Or large shipments at the airport, pickup truck definitely key. Cages, you know, affording cages, that's definitely a key resource, and learning how to build cages instead of buying them already pre-made. That saves a lot of money, and you're getting exactly what you need, instead of buying something that may be subpar and spending a little bit more money on that. As far as channels where I make a lot of my money, it's Facebook, big time referrals, website, Morph Market, going through them. It's like Craigslist. It's pretty much like Craigslist, but for animals. And then eventually one day I'll have my own website that, you know, I operate, and it's all automated, kind of like Amazon. That'd be a really cool goal to have, self-automation, so that it's taking less work out of me, having to talk to every customer individual. And then if I need to help them out, I'm there to help them out too. Let me drag this around. Cost structure, as far as cost structure, always got to keep in mind markup, what the markup on the animals would be for what I pay to house them, feed them, keep electricity on. I take all that in. The quality of the animal really, really, really affects the price. Like I said, you know, you could have two of the same snakes. One snake may have a little bit more white on it. That's $1,000 snake compared to an $80 snake. I mean, the quality of your animals really, really matters. It blows my mind, honestly. Shipping costs, that's always first and foremost in my mind when dealing with the customer, is I need to get their location so I can get a shipping quote to them. And yeah, that's a really big thing, is shipping for me. And then just overhead costs in general. As far as revenue streams, I make a lot of money off centipedes, crocodiles, that's a big one, any type of crocodilian. Pythons, the high-end ones, the morphs, the different colors, the stuff you wouldn't see in nature normally that are produced through genetic mutations, those are worth a lot of money. You can take 2 snakes, you can take a $400 snake and a $300 snake, breed it out, and you're producing snakes that are worth $2,000 just because the genetics are right. So definitely the high-end pythons make a lot of money. Turtles, you buy turtles cheap. Children love turtles. You buy them $2-3 a piece, sell them $10, $15, or give people deals on them at the reptile expos. Tarantulas, and large cats. Haven't dealt too much with large cats, but those are really where the money's at, dealing with tigers and lions, lynx, mountain lions, anything like that. And not so much on the selling side, but even just transportation side, make a lot of money there.
So great, Corbin. So let me ask you this real succinctly. Tell me, why would I choose you versus someone else?
I'm going to give you a better deal, a better
So-
price, and a better product.
So
And I'm gonna get
price and product, right? Okay. Okay, questions for Corbin? Feedback, thoughts? Anybody out there?
I guess, Corbin, just as you were going through it, I wondered if you ever thought about getting into auctions since the quality of the animal affects the price so much.
I did forget to touch on that. I do pick up animals at auction for really cheap, and I will take animals that I buy cheap and take them to auction and flip them. So auction is another great avenue, honestly, not just for animals, but for really any industry or any product. You can find an auction for just about anything. And then expos, like conventions where other like-minded people meet up, that's where I see a lot of money. You know, not as steady as online, but as far as a way to make a lot of money fast in one day, setting up for expos and traveling is a big way, because you're putting yourself in a environment with like-minded people who are already interested in your product. So that takes a lot of the work out of it, is trying to find customers. It's going to expos and, you know, just
Corbin.
I have a question.
Yes.
I did not see on your, I guess, cost structure, or I guess it would be about the, are you insured? I mean, is insurance involved in this?
Not yet.
It isn't?
Not yet. I'm looking into it. I have a policy where, like, let's say an animal perishes in transit, I'll replace it if they can update me within a photo within 2 hours of the animal arriving. I'll refund their cash, or I'll refund the animal. So that is a personal policy I have. As far as like an insurance company or anything like that, I don't have that yet. I'm operating very small right now. Really just a hobby that has grown so much that I need to look into, you know, getting legitimate.
Okay, good, good. Last question, and then we'll move on to the third group. Anybody else?
Nope.
Eric,
That
did
was
you have
that was
something?
my question about the general liability.
Oh, really?
And also, what type of state certifications do you need, or state license?
I don't need any state licensing right now for what I'm doing. I would like to expand and do venomous. I would need a commercial wildlife handler's permit for that, to deal with, like, you know, native venomous snakes, you know, things that live here in the state. I would also need a import-export license, and that's the biggest thing I would like to acquire, because at that point I can ship my animals out worldwide, and I can receive animals worldwide. So that means it's cutting out the middleman for the wholesale. I'm receiving directly from the people who are collecting the animals, let's say like in Africa or South America. So that import-export license is a big deal. Once I get that, I can see a lot more profit margin other than buying from wholesalers that have their import-export and are receiving that from countries.
Corbin, I'm just curious, are you on the reservation, and then are there any advantages or disadvantages to being there, since it sounds like you need a facility?
I am not on the reservation. I live in a large house with a few roommates, and we have plenty of space. But a facility would be wonderful. But as far as right now, financially, I can't afford a facility out in Sand Springs.
Do the regulations change at all?
Yes, Tulsa County, this is the big deal. I can't own, like, you know, venomous snakes in Tulsa County, you know, and you can't own native venomous snakes in general unless you have your commercial wildlife breeders permit. So a big goal for me is to be able to move to Sand Springs, or afford an area in Sand Springs, because the laws are a lot different county to county, and Sand Springs is a very loose county as far as animal regulations. And so that would definitely help out a lot, as being outside of city limits in Sand Springs or even Jinx.
Okay, well, great, great. Let me now go to our third group, and is it, let me just pull up and share my screen. So who could take us through this one? Aisha? Did we lose you? Corbin? Who could take us through this one?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on mute, Aisha. So why don't you take us through this one, okay, Aisha?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for this, but we decided to go with a mobile smokehouse for barbecue. Our key partners that we decided to go, discuss what we were trying to target is our location, our in the health department for the health regulations, as well as the locations that we were going to be set up at.
Aisha, sorry to interrupt. Tell us why people would choose you first, the value proposition, then go to the customers, and then you can kick around here. So,
okay.
Just so everybody's level set here, okay? Sorry.
Oh, no problem. So,
so go with the value proposition. Why would people choose us?
Well, we're fast and efficient. We were at their service. We decided to set up the type of entity that we decided to go with was, to be mobile and to set up at their location, their work sites. So they wouldn't have to leave the location for lunch hour or, to find food or, that we could produce food. We could produce food for fast service for their lunch hour. People only have 30 minutes to an hour for lunch. And then also we'd be willing to adapt to what their likings are for as food preferences or such.
Okay. So who are the primary customers that we're targeting?
So the customers that we decided to target would be the people at these work sites that only have a short amount of time for service. They can get it in for it's fast food, but it wouldn't really be fast food, better quality. Let me see. So you said go to values, then customer segments.
Yeah. So you're great. So I'm going to just.
I should say something. Okay.
Oh, good. You're so now. So yeah, keep on going. So who are the customer? What kind of relationship do we want with the customer?
We want to be able to be dedicated to be, know that we are there, and we want to be responsive to their needs of what they would like to see from us, or the type of foods they would like to get from us, or, the type of service or whatever that they are requesting. We would like to be able to accommodate or, have a listening ear for that, and also be with them.
So then how do we reach these folks? How do we market to them? What are the channels?
On the channels, we decided to do social media and flyers, as well as the work site. I don't think we put that on there, but it was discussed.
Okay, so I'll add that in too.
The work site.
Yeah, I'll add that in. So
that we network with them for them to allow their sorry, my restaurant is calling. That they would be able to get to their employees that we will be setting up at that location to be able to serve them.
Okay, good. So what's the key work that we have to perform, or the key activities?
Give me 5 minutes. I'll call you right back. Sorry, that was my restaurant.
The key activities. What do you think the key work is?
We wanted to be able to adhere to regulations, build a brand for as signature drinks, sauces, a signature product that they would be able to get with us, that they could only get through us, not through anyone else, for its taste, or things like that. Market and build relationship with customers and the location owners, as I discussed prior. And we would like to have a legit menu for them to be able to see what our products and services that we offer. We prep the food, cook, and determine logistics.
Great. Who are the key partners that we have to work with?
The location owners and the health department for its regulations, for its food or health codes or anything like that, and what the landowner or any any regulations that they would have.
Okay.
How about your vendors?
You gotta put that on there.
Oh, yeah. So so as we go through this, I'm going to add.
We kind of were limited to time, so we got shut off.
My gosh, I can't spell. So good.
That's
So
a good point.
Questions, feedback, comments. How can we improve? What do we miss? What do we need to hit?
You know, with Aisha, they have 2 different locations. So location is everything. And whenever the COVID-19 hit, I know that one location was, they took precaution but they kept one location open in Okmulgee, and they did an awesome job over there. And another key resource, or not really a resource, but basically a partner, was the general public. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, yes, they, I'm gonna tell you what, they did an awesome job of delivering, and even working with the police department. And am I right, Aisha?
Right.
Yes. So that's just something I wanted to touch up on. And but relations is everything.
So I'm going to put on a general public. You really mean like the local police, right? Who else?
I think
We've dealt with the police department. We've dealt with the even the chief. He's come out a few times, you know, and the mayor. We have really good working relationships with some of the hospital staff. They've kind of given us, you know, pointers, or even been a key role as well as advertisement, and, you know, making people aware of our services. We also do curbside, where they just call and pick, you know, we're able to pick up. We have one of the funeral directors. He's always on the go. He pulls right at the front door, you know, curbside. We're very efficient at curbside. So that was a good point. I forgot about that.
So other questions or comments to the team?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So do you advertise outside of your local area? Until this meeting, I've never heard.
Really?
I'm serious.
And we're Facebook friends.
Hey, so then I don't see anything.
And
so maybe the social media, if you have a social media campaign, it's not as aggressive. Maybe
that's true. That's true. We have backed up. This is another thing. We kind of bit off more, and I will say this: it's a bad thing, but it was a good thing. We were very aggressive in the beginning of opening our location in Haskell, and we kind of bit off more than we could chew. Yep. People were flooding, and that's kind of what we did in Okmulgee as well. And so the more advertising, the more people were going to come, but we weren't able to keep up staff, you know, and that kind of thing. So we kind of got out of advertising as much on Facebook. We have circulating ads, but we only target a certain location because, you know, it's just my husband and I, and we have about 17 staff. So I will say that, but you're in Wagner, correct?
I am, but I live in Wagner. Listen, I live in Wagner, and our pantry's in Inola, but we have a delivery coming from our pantry 2 or 3 times a week to Haskell. We've been going different places to pick up lunches, and for our volunteers, which we have anywhere from 5 to 10 volunteers 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a vehicle that comes to Haskell to deliver food boxes. So, and we didn't know anything about you.
Well, I'm poor on marketing. Jasmine, she's.
Hey, Miss Cotton, you don't want to grow too fast.
Right. I get
it. And the thing is, like she said, they had to back off a little bit. Once you become part of that supply and demand,
Right.
Have your customers.
He could eat you up.
And I know I've seen her on Facebook several times. I've shared their posts several times.
Okay.
And over 2,000 of my people see that every time I post it.
Okay.
So you have to really be careful. You guys are a nonprofit.
We are, but see, I understand the principle of
yes,
what you're saying.
Yes,
I understand the principle of what you're saying, because we went from feeding 1,700 people max out of our pantry to feeding 18 to 20,000 a week, and it was
amazing.
overwhelming. It was overwhelming. So I do understand that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
See,
Your chief comes, and we've set up at the courthouse, Ponds. They drive down all the time, and what's the other guy's name? Ponds and
Tony and
I can't.
You talking about the other black guy?
Yes, and they bring the fire chief down.
Yeah, Kelly Grooms.
Yes, so Wagner is aware of us. We do pop-ups down there.
So key point here, Eric made a great point, is you got to balance this. You can't have so much demand you can't deliver.
Right.
We had a workshop in Northern California. A guy was designing a native clothes, and he had so much demand that he just shut down his Facebook site because he couldn't order them enough out of China to have them delivered to the US. So he had to shut down his channel, his Facebook site, in order to manage. So what's really important here, and that's good conversation you guys were having about being able to balance what we're doing here. So great. So let's give some claps here for our Smokehouse Barbecue. Yeah, comment.
Hey, Kyle, one thing that everybody that's on, John and I will be sending out another invite in 2 weeks from today. We'll be having just a social media 30-minute power session. And we want to keep it to about 30 minutes so that everybody can tune in. And but we're going to invite everybody, so be watching your email.
Okay, great. So I'm going to just pull up, because we're going to wrap up a little bit here. A couple things for us to be thinking about for tomorrow. I wanted to pull up this real quick. So can you guys see my site? Okay. John?
Yes. Yep.
Well,
yep. You're there.
If you want to sum up a little bit around the marketing situation, this link on the website is really helpful in helping you to sort of bring everything together in terms of marketing. So look for it as marketing situational analysis. I think it's a really good site for you guys to consider and to think about as you bring things together. I would also encourage everyone to, if you hadn't a chance to sign up and link up with this site, it'd be nice if you guys could kick around a little bit in it this evening and see if there's some tools and some videos that may be helpful for you. So let me just pull up what we've got left for tomorrow. So John is going to talk about the impact of sort of this digital world on our business. Big deal. I mean, you've already talked about it with the barbecue. We lose our place. Now we got to go online. And so it's more than that, because we're seeing across the country by the pandemic, things were accelerating to a digital world even faster. People are watching more television. The world is changing. So we need to be able to prepare ourselves to respond to that. So that's what we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow. As part of the homework, if you could, part of the homework, we attached this, so mute everyone if you could. Tomorrow, if you could, this was an attachment, but if you could think about your business and walk through this sort of value proposition template. It's not on the site, but it was sent to you in the email. So you can walk through it and say, our product or service or our barbecue helps those folks that have limited time, who want good quality food, by being responsive to their needs. And we want to increase their satisfaction. So it's a way for you to start thinking about articulating clearly what makes you different. So Arnetta, when you think about your nonprofit, you would do the same thing. You know, what are we offering? How does it help the customer in terms of his pain? What's the critical work that we deliver? And how we address that. So this is a great tool to help you think about it, and you may want to do a couple of them. So part of the homework, we may want to try this out. Yes, ma'am.
Kyle, I've got that down for the nonprofit. It's the cattle that I'm having difficulties, you know, quantifying or transferring it over, if you will, to a proper business model. Because, you know, country folks, we're just so used to, you know, getting the land, you know, getting the hay, getting the feed, you know.
Well, I brought this up. I want to just share one thing and then we'll close, because I knew you were going to ask this question.
Okay.
Let's see if I've got it here. I may not have it on this slide. But one of the things that happened, I'll tell this story and I'll share it tomorrow. We were in Navajo land. And a lot of the Navajos run cattle. But what they do when they run cattle, they only run calves. And they have limited space, the land is dry, so they have only limited calves. And so what they do is they take the calves and they just grow them to a certain point and then resell them to a third party who comes in and feeds them and grows them, butchers them, and markets them. So what happened is, in terms of that value stream, the Navajos were just constrained by just running a couple calves. But out of Navajo land from Colorado, big companies would come in and buy the calves from these folks, would take them over, and would grow them all the way through and then resell them. And they were taking all the profit. They were taking all the profit. So what a design was, is the Navajo cattlemen got together and we're going to create a co-op to manage the entire value stream. So what I can do, Arnetta, I can show you that a little bit tomorrow, that we'll talk about that. Okay? Okay, so as a close, yeah, go ahead.
I said, thanks a lot, Kyle. That's really interesting how you put that, because Miss Cotton and her husband, that's basically what they do, correct? But yes, like they're on the mainstream of that. And I think what she's really getting at is like price. Building a financial projection for the cattle that they're going to be purchasing. So, yeah.
Now, let me see if I may not have this. Let me just check. And if I have it, I'll share it, just because I don't have it here readily. But what I'll do tomorrow is during a break, we can talk a little bit about this value stream. Because what's really important is you figure out where you want to play in the value stream. And then Eric, that guides you in saying how you start pricing things.
Right. Yes,
so there's a lot of choices that go into saying where you want to be and where you want to play, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it, sir.
So let me do this. Eric, any last comments? John and Pete, last comments for the day before we call it quits?
I'd like to thank everybody. This is one of the better webinars that I've been on. It's just through all the positive interaction. You guys bring a lot of energy. So thank all the participants, and thank you, Kyle, for leading the group today. It's been good. I really enjoyed today. The energy is amazing. So keep it up.
Eric, any thoughts?
Everybody did awesome today. The presentations were really smooth. The dialogue was, it was, like I said, high energy. I loved it as well. I appreciate all my Muskogee Creek citizens and everybody else throughout the United States coming on today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay, John, anything?
I guess the thing I'd throw out would be, we've heard from a lot of people, but we haven't heard from a lot of people today. And tomorrow's our last session. So we do a little debrief here when we're done. But one of the things I was going to throw out was trying to carve out a little bit of time for people who, if you've got an issue that you want to throw into front of the group and really discuss a little bit, we'll try and find a few minutes to do that tomorrow. So try and come ready.
Yeah, feel free. Ask your questions so we can address those. And I want to just say, we're only doing this. It's hard to do a lot of work in the short time we have in the morning. So we're just trying to build awareness.
Absolutely.
So it's really important that you continue to build relationships with Eric and John and Pete and the folks that are out there. And they'll continue the dialogue. They're very responsive to our needs. And from a personal standpoint, we've taught this class quite a bit. This is the first online class we've ever taught. But I just want to say is that we've got a wide, diverse group of folks, a wide, diverse group of businesses, and a good, broad group of folks from different tribes and locations. And what I love to see is strong Native businesses. And I appreciate you guys joining us. And we'll start pretty promptly at 10 tomorrow. So if you guys can get in, and Harrison will open up the waiting room so you guys can get in, kick around. If you get here a little early and have a question before we start, we'll be ready to go.
Kyle, can you share the PowerPoint with everybody?
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to put these in a PDF. And I've broken them up into different days. And I can send those out. Maybe I'll put them all together or try to send them out in different modules. So we can do that.
Yeah. Kyle, if you want to, if you've got some stuff that you want to go into the Initiate site, we can post it there too, PowerPoints or PDFs or whatever you want to put up. There's a custom area we can drop them into for you.
Okay. Oh, so tomorrow, I need a little help from you guys. I may ask you to tell me which tribal communities you come from, because who funds this program is the Small Business Administration. And we always try to make sure more funds get returned to Native communities. So if we can say we had 5 or 6 different tribes on here, it helps us then say, maybe we can fund an ongoing kind of program for online, an hour or 2 every month or an hour or 2 every week. Okay?
You got 3 different tribes from us: Cherokee, Muskogee Creek, and Seminole Creek.
Oh, we got Seminole Creek,
Muskogee Creek, and Cherokee.
Creek and Cherokee. Okay. And so other folks, if you get a chance, I'll ask you tomorrow and I'll help build my list. I think, Pete, that's it for the day. You guys have a good day.